fight me. There can be only one.
During the meanwhilest... No.
Well, hello, it's Dexter and me, and while I am still in this sort of COVID malingering state, I just can't seem to shake it, it's another indoor video, I'm afraid. Anyway, today I thought I would, I think regale, but bore you probably is a better description, with my entire camera history, well, as far as I can remember anyway. I've been fortunate in my lifetime to own some fantastic cameras, you know, from Nikon film offerings right the way through to, well, actually all the digital ones I've owned, and in fact the latter, the digital list, is quite that. It is quite the list, and for the time rich nosy parkers amongst you, here it is, and I'm gonna have to read this because I won't be able to remember. Right, it's a Fujifilm Finepix A350. A Fujifilm Finepix, I think it was something like an S5700, can't remember, I think it was that. Nikon D3100, D90, D200, D300, D300S, 3 D700s, a D800 and a J1. Fujifilm, I've owned, aside from the two Finepixes, an XT20, two XT2s, an XT3, XT4, XT5, XE1, GFX50R, GFX100, and of course my Olympus OMD EM10, which I owned for a short while. And that really is quite a list, and I'm not even going to go into all the lenses that I've owned. But of all of those cameras, and the ones I'm going to chat about in a minute, which one has been my favourite? Well, the first camera I ever owned was a Polaroid instant camera that my parents bought for me. I must have been 8 or 9 perhaps, and I had it for Christmas one year, and I can still remember the smell of, like, you know, the processing films, but in particular those sort of flash cubes that used to come with it. You had, like, I think it was 4 flashes in a cube. The smell of those that used to make, but that camera I loved. I took loads of pictures with it. It's just that I think the thrill of seeing that image, you know, like develop in front of you. We've still got Lisa's old Polaroid camera at the loft. I doubt very much it still works, but maybe one day I'll get it down and we'll see if you can still get film for it. I think it's a Kodak one she's got. Excuse me, I'll have to go and I'll get it down from the loft someday and check. Talking of cameras that's up the loft, I know this one's up there, but I couldn't find it for this video. It's the next camera I owned, and it was a Boots 110 like cartridge thingy. So you loaded up a cartridge film and you wound it on by sort of like doing that with the camera, and that was a lovely little camera. Again, took hundreds of images with it. Took it on like my first holidays abroad, things like that. I just loved the convenience of that cartridge film. It was so easy to load, so easy to use, and it was such a small little camera. It was only like about probably the size of a chocolate bar, and it, you know, you fit it easily in, you know, a coat or a trouser pocket. The film camera I got particular fondness for, though, is a Canon AF7. Hang on. That's up here. It's this. I bought this, I refer to my notes here, back in mid to late 1990s, and I got it when Lisa and I first started seeing each other, and I got it for our first holiday together to Crete in 1997. Again, it's a simple point and shoot, fully automatic camera, but I love this camera to bits because not only did it record Lisa and my sort of first months and years together, it was also the camera that we had when Bethan was born. So we took literally hundreds of pictures of our daughter with this camera, and it still works. It is still in absolutely perfect working order. And it's got this lovely, very, very soft, lovely leather case, or leatherette, whatever it is. Really, really love this camera not for the camera's sake, but for what it did for us. Moving on then to the digital cameras we had. The first one we bought was around about 2004, 2005, when Bethan was 3 or 4, and it was this Fujifilm. Should have been better prepared for this, shouldn't I? But hang on. I think you've seen this camera before on this channel. It is this Fujifilm A350. There we are. Still works absolutely perfectly, flawlessly to this day. And it was like the Canon. It was used primarily to record Bethan's sort of toddler years and sort of young infant years. And we even shot some very, very low res video with this. We did have a proper video camera when she was small. Panasonic something, I can't remember now. But we did shoot some, I think it's 360 by 240 resolution video on this camera, and I'll pop a little clip of that up now. Anyway, just like this Canon, it is still in lovely condition and still works absolutely flawlessly to that day. So I think in terms of a favourite camera of all time shortlist, these two, they really have to go on that list. Right then, but what about the serious cameras I've owned? I hear you all crying. There's quite a lot of them. Well, most of them, or nearly all of them, I would say, I've had no real emotional attachment to. They've just pretty well been tools to do a job, but with the exception of two. And the first one is the Fujifilm X-T20 that I had. Absolutely loved that camera, and it's a camera I've regretted selling since the day I parted with it, basically. It was just a professional camera in a tiny, relatively inexpensive body, but you had all the sort of image resolving power of the professional X-T2 camera, but in this tiny little lightweight, relatively cheap Fujifilm body. And I loved the camera really for its honesty. It wasn't pretending to be anything else. It was what it was. It's just a fantastic little piece of kit. And the other proper or serious camera, if you like, that I have had a real attachment to is the Nikon D700. Now, that's because after my D3100 and my D90, I wanted to go full frame, as they say, and the Nikon D700 was my avenue into that, and I shot some absolutely fantastic images with that camera. That first D700 I had. Sold it to get a D800. Kind of regretted that straight away. Bought another one, sold that, but I bought another one again. It's you've all seen it. It's up there. and I will now never part with that D700, like pretty much like these two film cameras. It's going to be in my collection forever. Right, so the shortlist is then the Canon AF7, the Fujifilm Finepix A350, the Fujifilm X-T20, and the Nikon D700. And the winner of my favourite camera of all time, what do you reckon it is? What do you think? Well, it is the Nikon D700.
And I'll tell you for why.
Thanks, Uncle Bryn.
Wonderful.
Well, firstly, the D700, as I said earlier, I bought way back in 2013, and it was my initial foray, if you like, into digital full frame. I wanted to know what all the fuss was about, and being a Nikon user ready to commit to full frame, but not ready to commit to purchasing a hyper expensive D800 or 800E. The 700 was the camera that helped me to scratch my full frame itch. But above all that, the simple reason really is the camera's image output. I think there are few cameras that can rival the look of the D700's 12 megapixel sensor in terms of sheer beauty. Its colour rendition is second to none for me, and the images look kind of old-fashioned because, well, they are old-fashioned. They've got that certain look, feel and quality to them that modern cameras, with all of their resolution and processing power, simply, to my eye anyway, and that's all that matters, cannot match. Digital image making may have come an awful long way in the 15 years since the D700 was released, and in terms of sheer output, image quality, ergonomics and usability, there's no contest. A modern camera would beat it in every department. Resolution, dynamic range and noise have all improved like exponentially over the years, as of things like autofocus and shooting burst rates, but those are things that don't really matter to me. The D700 though remains, for me at least, a beacon of old school artistry, analog almost in its look and feel, in a modern, ergonomic, crisp and clean digital world. When the time comes for me to stop taking photographs, it can join my other legendary cameras in that box up the loft, I'm sure. Hopefully for Beth and or maybe even some grandchildren someday to discover the magic of photography that I first felt when I took my first photos with that Polaroid instant camera back in probably 71, 72, something like that. Anyway, that is it for this video. Hopefully in the next Saturday video at least, I'll be able to get out of doors. If this is cleared up, let's have a look, see what I got planned for next Tuesday then, is it? Next Tuesday I'm going to be looking at the Fujifilm X-T5 and the 10-24 f4 lens. It's coming for a bit of bad press, that combination, so I wanted to have a look at it and see if that negative press coverage, or those negative reviews were justified. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, tune in on Tuesday for that. Otherwise, as usual, stay safe, stay well, look after yourselves, your loved ones and your little animals as well. Look after them too, and they will then look after you, as Dexter has been looking after me this last couple of weeks. And be nice everybody, okay? Be nice, and we'll see you on Tuesday.